One of the funniest things about Elias as I re-listen to the Magnus Archives is how much he seems to enjoy being the director of this business. Like, he seems to genuinely enjoy the day-to-day of it, which is just so funny. Spoilers throughout, I guess, the first 4 seasons of the Magnus Archives. But, okay, so he is an eldritch monstrosity, planning on destroying the world so that he can become a god and live forever. But in the meantime, isn't scheduling just so fun? Ooh, he has some budgets to look over. It's just so funny. I'm sure he doesn't have to do any of that himself. He could have somebody else managing the day-to-day of the Magnus Institute. He could have somebody else balancing the budget and dealing with scheduling. And he could intervene when it matters, but most of that stuff isn't really going to matter. But no, he does it himself. And I just listened to the episode where John says that Elias gets, quote, very twitchy if they look into anything that could have funding repercussions, which is also just so funny. He has been accumulating wealth and brokering deals with other eldritch horrors and stealing the bodies of wealthy people for literal centuries. But no, he has to get twitchy about it. And I know that part of that is about the Lucas family. And yeah, I am seeing the Lonely Eyes thing a little bit more on this listen. But it's not specifically about them, because John could have said, Elias doesn't want us to look into the Lucas family, probably because there could be funding repercussions. He could speculate. You know what I mean? It could be about wanting to keep the Lucas family out of it. But no. He says this sort of as a general insight about Elias. He gets very twitchy when we look into anything that could have funding repercussions, which sort of implies that it's not just the Lucas family. And he must be getting some funding from sources that are not affiliated with the Fears. He's probably getting government funding, academic grants, stuff like that. Anyway, it's just hilarious. Like, why do you even want to bring about the apocalypse? It seems like you're doing fine. You want to live forever? Okay. You already lived for over 200 years just by hopping into a new body whenever the old one is sort of running a little bit old. You could literally keep doing that forever. And you would have lived longer than you do when you bring about this apocalypse. He dies like 6 months after bringing about the apocalypse. He could have lived for centuries longer. He's just such a silly little guy.